Hi there. I was just reading chapter 13 of my book, and it's titled "Stop Shooting on Yourself." We were should on quite a bit when we were young. We should have done this. We should have done that. We should have known better, and we learned that at a very young age. And that's something I struggled with for a really long time without even actually knowing it. And so you kind of end up building up all these responsibilities that felt overwhelming. I don't know what it was like for you when you were young, but when I was young, it was pretty tough in my home. Growing up, it was a very violent, alcoholic home, and my parents were both a mess and fighting and drinking, and it was just not a great situation. So at a very young age, you just kind of automatically, almost instinctively, or are expected to take responsibility for different things, for taking care of yourself, taking care of the adults. I know I was lots of times where I was taking care of my mom and my dad at a very young age. Maybe, you have siblings and you're the oldest and you had to be taking care of your siblings, or you were one of the younger siblings that got taken care of. This whole responsibility thing because of being should on, told what is right and what is wrong and what is good and what is bad. And are we a good boy or a bad boy or a good girl or a bad girl? And so this shoulding idea, which really stems from judgment. The first chapter of my book is called "Stop Judging." It through ongoing judgment and criticism and degradation and teasing and sarcasm and all the different ways that the adults only knew how to communicate in our life, this responsibility starts to build. Of course, you really end up developing this fear of getting things wrong. So I got a lot of things wrong because there was a lot of things going wrong in my home. And so how could I get things right when things were so wrong? And so you develop an early fear at an early age of, getting it right. And then, you feel like you're always walking on eggshells and afraid you're going to get in trouble. And in my case, afraid I'm going to get hurt, spanked. We had a black leather belt in the kitchen drawer that my mom would pick up, and that was her tool for punishing us. So you build up this fear of getting things wrong, and of course, how's that going to play out in your life, in your adult life, professionally, personally, relationally? A lot of self pressure, a lot of hesitating, a lot of second guessing. I just was not sure of what I should do, and over a period of time, you end up not trusting yourself, and that's not right either. The fact is that you should be growing up in an environment where you can trust the adults. That's not it's not necessarily their fault. They're responsible, but they probably didn't know what they were doing either, and they probably went through the same thing maybe you went through or like what I went through. And so if you got second guessing and you can't make decisions and you just procrastinate because you're afraid you're going to get it wrong or make a mistake. This is all a result of being should on when you were young. And so throughout my entire career, although I did figure out how to become successful. I mean, I was getting good results relative to the positions that I was in or the businesses that I was in. But man, oh man, I don't know about you, but I would overthink every decision. Years later, when computers came along and spreadsheets came along, my coworkers and colleagues used to tease me that, I would spend hours analyzing, and people tease me that I love spreadsheets because I would put everything into a freaking spreadsheet to try to, compare and pros and cons and run numbers and calculations. And one time my business partner said, "Why don't you just go take some action rather than analyzing?" And it was a real kick in the pants, and he was right. It hurt, but he was right. And so we avoid action and all that second guessing, all that overthinking, all that worry and fear of getting it wrong. That's what's creating the burnout, right? And so I was like stressed out, burned out, just up and down like a yo-yo with my energy and with my health. And it was all because of this issue of learning to should on myself because I was should on by the adults who were supposed to and meant to take care of me. And so this whole responsibility idea was actually confused with punishment. I got the idea that if I wasn't taking care of things, if I wasn't doing what I thought I should be doing, or if I was doing things I shouldn't be doing as far as I was concerned, or whether others were concerned, or whether it was even true or not. I mean, that put a lot of pressure on me. And of course, you have all this doubt about you. It becomes an identity issue. My book, Mistaken Identities, is on the premise that we have a false identity, an identity crisis. We're mistaken about how we view ourselves and how we see ourselves, and therefore how we evaluate ourselves when it comes to opportunities or how we handle our problems. And it's a real distorted point of view. And that was me. I mean, I had a real distorted view of me and my past and what I was capable of because of the past. And so once I got all that cleared up, it's the clarity that creates the action. So when you clear up all this junk and you unlearn the things that you were learned or taught to do or how to operate, I was talking to a client today and they said, I never really thought about it. And I thought those are great words because we never really think about or are even aware of some of the things that we experience in our upbringing, our early conditioning that actually is causing us problems. And so what happens, you end up kind of making up these labels about yourself. And so I was indecisive. I was a procrastinator. I just couldn't focus. I remember times I just came saying, I just need to get away for a couple of days to get myself organized and on track. And I go away for a couple of days, like a little retreat to get myself organized with my business. And all I did was confuse myself even more. I never got anything done. And I made up a bunch of lists and I never made any decisions. And I came back home and I was in a worse off position than when I went away to try to solve the problem. So what happens when you clear up your mistaken identity and you really get clear on the areas that you're operating, the ways you're operating, they're causing you problems like this shooting on yourself. That all gets cleared up. Now you've got clear and clean ownership of what you are, in fact, responsible for. And you don't take on the responsibility, things that others try to put on you when it's actually not your responsibility. So you trust yourself a heck of a lot more. And then you move into a state, and now I have a label where I label myself, I'm a very confident action taker. And that is a much better way to operate. I hope this helps. If you like this, drop a comment, share it, subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you again. Thank you.